Greetings and welcome to another Mod of the Month video, taking a look at the best mods released from Morrowind each month. And as always, I'm your host, Elf Guy, and today we're actually going to be taking a look at some of the best mods from April 2017. I know we just finished the Morrowind Modathon, but it'll still be a couple of weeks before we get the full results from the competition back. So in the meantime, we have the top 3 highest voted mods from April, as decided by you guys in our online poll. And overall, there were 37 new mods released from Morrowind in April. And today we're going to be looking at 3 of them, and of course you can find the download links for each one of them down in the video description below. So let's go ahead and get started with our mod of the month, which for April is Wood Staff Replacer by Remiros, aka Flash3113. And you know, I'm honestly starting to lose count of the number of times that Flash3113 has won the Mod of the Month award now for his PBR, or Physical Based Rendering Supported Model and Text Replaces. It certainly does feel like we feature his work a lot, which, given the high quality and beautiful craftsmanship of these replaces, is really only fair. And this time around, Flash3113 has replaced yet another weapon, only this time it isn't a sword or legendary artifact, but rather the simple and probably underused wooden staff. This replacer keeps the basic style and design of the wooden staves found in vanilla Morrowind, and it merely updates the model and textures with some really finely detailed craftsmanship. I mean, the wood of the staff here looks, carved and worn in a sort of realistic fashion. And I know I compliment Flash113's mods a lot on this channel, but he really has outdone himself with each and every replacer that he's put out over the last year or two, and I'm always excited to see, what he has lined up next. Now this replacer, while it doesn't require PBR, does come with PBR support, which immediately serves to enhance the detail in here, though since this is a wood material instead of a more metallic surface, the PBR improvements are a little harder to, notice compared to the other sword and weapon replacers that Flash113 has done in the past. And again, PBR is pretty frame rate heavy on most computers, so it's a nice option to have, but by no means a requirement. And in any event, the sheer and amazing quality of this replacer more than makes it our mod of the month for April 2017, and you should definitely check it out. And moving on, we have our second choice for the mod of the month. We have JSP's Mines and Caverns by JSP25. Now, this is a really big mod actually. It includes overhauls and expansions for over a dozen different dungeons in vanilla Morrowind, adding hours of new dungeon delving content for you to find, and turning some of the perhaps more overlooked mines and caverns into much more interesting places to explore. We've covered a few of JSP's mods in the past, and some of those have actually been merged into this project, I think. So if you've seen some of those earlier showcases, you probably have a good idea of what to expect here. Each of these dungeon expansions and overhauls is unique, with a number of interesting encounters, from miners using cliff races to bored tunnels, through to Dwemer ruins, to underground lava pools and ancient shrines lost in the dirt. This naturally means you'll find a wide variety of new dungeons and interiors to explore, from dark and dreary caverns to failed mining expansions, and lots of Dwemer tunnels, halls, and chambers. These expansions span from small new additions that just add a cave or two, to some, really massive dungeons that are vastly larger than their original vanilla counterparts. There's a ton to see and explore here, not to mention a number of new items that have been added to the game for you to find and collect, such as the new armor sets, weapons, and more, most of which comes from various modest resources, I think. Now, we're obviously going to be skipping over most of the new dungeon additions here in order to avoid spoiling everything, so instead we're just going to take a look at a few different dungeons to show off what some of these new expansions look like. And as I've already kind of mentioned here, there's a decent variety of dungeon types included, with a wide array of hostile opponents for you to face, from miners, Dwemer machines, Daedric, to just, local Morrowind wildlife, so you'll find a good variety of encounters in your adventures. And of course, you'll also face your fair share of bandits, and even a couple of pirate-looking fellows in the deep dark of these new dungeon expansions. And many of these places are of course filled with hidden treasures, ancient artifacts, and secrets waiting to be discovered around each twist and turn. And with over a dozen dungeon overhauls and expansions, including about a dozen new dungeon interior cells, it's easy to see why this is our second pick for the mod of the month for April 2017. And if you're a dungeon fan like me, you should absolutely consider giving it a try. And finally, for our third choice for the mod of the month, we have Pirates and Smugglers by Darius the Martyr. And this is basically another pretty big dungeon mod that adds a ton of new exterior locations as well as new dungeons for you to explore. And I have to say, April was actually a really good month for dungeon mods. We don't normally see a lot of dungeon mods get released on average, so it's nice to see a couple of big ones come out all at once. And in any event, this mod was actually tied for third place with one of the Resdayn Revival Workshop mods. But because we can't actually showcase Photoshop files, we want to be going with this pirate mod instead. And yes, this is actually a pirate mod that adds pirate ships to a number of isolated coastlines and islands of Morrowind. Many of these new pirate locations come with small docks, shacks, and other outdoor visible, signs of inhabitation, usually with a smuggler's lair located not too far away. And as you might expect, these ships are crawling with pirates and smugglers for you to fight, giving you some cool outdoor locations to discover and battle across, instead of, everything being confined to dark and damp dungeons deep in the ground. Now, these new pirate vessels can be found along a number of coastlines, from the northern Ashlands region to the Azores coast, Bitter coast, West Gash region, and yes, even the Ascadian Isles a bit, though due to the increased Imperial patrols there, you won't find too many pirate vessels that would hazard the journey. Now, I'm honestly not sure how many locations in total are included in this mod, but it's probably right around a dozen or so, and they're a lot of fun to find on your own, just, exploring through the wilderness and seeing a set of sails on the horizon. Many of these pirate hideouts will also include some exterior camps, presumably where they bury their treasure or, what have you. And just moving on to take a look at some of these other pirate ships. Here you can see pretty much the only pirate vessel on the waters off the coast of the Ascadian Isles. And there's a decent variety of different kinds of pirate ships out there, from those you're familiar from seeing in vanilla Morrowind, to others that were clearly added by modest resources. And you won't just find pirate ships sailing around the seas, you'll also find broken apart and sunken ships around the coast as well, including this massive vessel that appears to have just, run aground. There's a pretty nice variety of locations to check out, from shipwrecks to hunted pirate towns and isolated smuggler shacks, not just, pirate ships. And yes, there's also a number of more traditional dungeons for you to delve through as well, with various pirate and smuggler lairs, where you'll have to explore numerous caverns and fight through vagabonds and scallywags in order to find whatever treasure these pirates are hiding. And again, this is a pretty big dungeon mod, with probably at least a couple of hours of content to explore, hence why it's our third and final pick for the mod of the month for April 2017. And anyway, that's pretty much the end of this episode here. We'll be back in about a week or so with the final results of the Morrowind May Modathon month. So until then, stay tuned, and I'll see you all next time.